So today I want to talk about movies that are based on video games. So for a long time, video games were considered a expensive toy for children. It's to the degree that even now there's still people that frown on an adult that plays video games. Like they act like that's a complete waste of time. It's a matter of opinion, but it's just like people take a hard stance on that. Whatever. So with that said, the people in position to make movies, screenwriters, producers, directors, actors, a lot of them are either writing it off or they're not really in a position to really create something and be able to transfer that one medium to the other when they're still not really comprehending the original medium to begin with. I will say also lore. Video games at that time didn't really have lore the way they started to grow with that. So that was kind of an issue. And I'll be honest, at that time, I really didn't even understand lore. I mean, that was then. Now I can't get enough lore. Here's a list of some movies that I give an A for effort. They came out during an experimental moment and they did pretty good for what it was worth. Mortal Kombat, 1995. Costuming, amazing. Set pieces, amazing. Not for nothing, casting was pretty amazing. I think the issue for this movie was the story. It didn't flow as well as it could have, but I remember enjoying this movie, and I remember people hyped to go see this movie. Tomb Raider, 2001, starring Angelina Jolie. This movie, also the set pieces, the way it was set up, her mansion, the way they did her house, I loved it. The action was great. Again, story was a little weak because I just remember not really being invested after a while. Like I was like, bro, I don't care. Like the action, I kind of overtook the story. Also, I think it was the director that said this. He wanted to stay away from making it too much like the game because he felt that if it did, it would have came out looking like Indiana Jones movie, just being inside caverns and whatnot. If you played the game, it makes sense. Resident Evil, 2002. Something I really liked about this movie, and Tomb Raider for that matter, was it was a strong female lead because the strong female lead was a badass and she got shit done, and I was able to believe what I was seeing. I liked that a lot. What this movie did pretty good was it incorporated the world of Resident Evil. It incorporated all those different set pieces and they did their own thing with it. The issue with this movie was the pacing. It felt like it dragged essentially. Like there was the points where it's like, okay guys, move it along. But it was done fairly well. I think the series wasn't as good as it progressed, but this first one, I walked away conflicted because I liked the story, but it didn't feel like Resident Evil story. I had to kind of accept that it was two different things. The movie was one thing and the game was another, but it was, to its credit, I thought that they did a pretty good job of it. Hitman in 2007, starring Timothy Olyphant. Okay, now this is a movie with flaws and all. I personally enjoyed it. I think the biggest flaw was that it felt a little too slow at times. Not necessarily like it wasn't paced well, but there were just moments where it just felt like there was dead air. Like, are we building to something? What's happening right now? Move it along, that kind of thing. But beyond that, it didn't take itself too seriously. It was actually a pretty good representation of the game. I actually did like it for that. Also, Timothy Olyphant, the guy that played Agent 47, he did a good job, in my opinion. I didn't think he was going to. I'm gonna be honest. I remember when I first saw he was cast, I didn't think much of it. And to see, found him believable, but also I found him enjoyable. Like he's a good actor, and I've seen him in rom-coms and stuff. That's why I was like weird about it. And he knocked it out the park. Max Payne, 2009, starring Mark Wahlberg and Mila Kunis. I personally like this movie. I know I gave Hitman its praises, but this movie was the very first time that I saw it and was just like, they understood this game. Whoever wrote this, they understood the game. They understood what made it good. They understood why the story should be told. I think the only fault for the movie is kind of hard to explain because they took it from the story of the game where there's a drug going around in the streets and it's messing with people's like mental, and it was just, how do you translate that? And they used the show don't tell, so that worked, but I think the word for it is goofy in the sense of like, how do I absorb this information? And the way they portrayed it, I think it was good for what it was worth. If you didn't play the game, you might not gravitate to it, but I thought it was pretty solid. Now onto the dishonorable mentions. Super Mario Brothers, 1993, starring Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo. I don't even know where to start. I'll just say this. I remember seeing this movie. I was excited because I saw Super Mario Brothers. I didn't know they made a movie. I was excited. It was bad. It was bad. Double Dragon, 1994. All right, I don't have a lot to say about this movie. It wasn't very well put together. Even as a kid, I remember it being kind of stupid. and I'm just gonna carry on to the next. House of the Dead, 2003. You know what house was dead? Any movie house that was playing this. This movie was bad. I gave it the benefit of the doubt, and because I was a fan of the game, I was like 15 when this came out. Doom, 2005. The scene. That was the only good thing about it. I'm showing it on screen right now. That one scene. Oh my God. I actually fast forwarded through it. Prince of Persia, 2010, starring Jake Gyllenhaal and Ben Kingsley. All right, I'm just gonna pull a band-aid off with this one. This movie was just flat out fucking terrible. It wasn't a good movie. It wasn't very well thought out. And whoever wrote this, they had a passing understanding of the game and they ran with that because this movie was bad. All right, now gather around, children, gather around. Let's take a step back for a bit. Well, this is a business, right? So Final Fantasy, they tried to make a movie, Final Fantasy The Spirits Within, back in 2001. This movie was such an epic failure, it's blamed for shutting down Square Pictures, which is the company that makes the game, Square Enix or Squaresoft, I don't know what they are now. They tried to make movies. This movie bankrupted that studio. That's how bad of a commercial bomb that this was. The budget was $137 million. It only made $85.1 million in the box office. Let those numbers set in for a moment.
Oh, bro.
That epic failure was a huge deterrent in production studios even being willing to just invest in a video game. It hurt that field for a long time. A couple of good movies that I just feel like they just seem to capture something. Detective Pikachu, 2019. I just personally like this movie. It was just enjoyable. It had some bells and whistles. It had Ryan Reynolds in it and all that, and it was a good movie. I sincerely enjoyed this movie. The Last of Us series. Bro, there's no part of me that thought it was going to be a series. But it's perfect. It's funny. I think people joke that this game was a walking simulator because you spent so much time traveling. You're literally watching the back of Joel's head get to where you got to get to. Yo, this was good. This was actually, it was a good idea. When I heard it, it was just like, oh, this is a good idea. And then when I saw it, yo, it's actually good. And gotta give credit where credit's due. The new Super Mario Brothers movie that came out 2023, very good. I'm beyond pleasantly surprised with how good it was. It's kind of cool that they're gonna do a Zelda movie. It's kind of cool. They're looking at all their other properties that they're considering that. Zelda's a perfect game for that. It's kind of refreshing to see that they were able to bounce back the way they did with this. And salute. Loved it. Sonic the Hedgehog 2020. I will admit it's not the best movie, but personally did enjoy it. And as a Sonic fan, I really liked how it came together. If you know, you know. But do y'all remember how he originally was gonna look? There's a part of me that's convinced that they did that on purpose. They were trolling us to get a rise out of it. But it worked. Oh my goodness, it worked. So to wrap it up, I'm gonna bring it home now. It seems like they're getting better. Primarily because video games is way more accepted as an art form, and it's also being acknowledged as a great medium for storytelling. As a dude that, I played video games pretty much all my life. I got my first Sega Genesis in 1994. Yo, it's an amazing time to be alive. I'll just say that. While I was doing my research, I also came across a couple things that I'm just telling you I'm looking forward to, and I'm sure some of y'all are too. And all these are in the air. I don't know if they're gonna happen. If I sound excited reading this list off, it's because I am, and I hope y'all are too. So we're looking at 4 movies: Days Gone, Ghost of Tsushima, Streets of Rage, and Stray. Oh man, I can't even stress to you how hyped I am. And 2 series I'm looking forward to very much: Gears of War, and this next one, I can't explain to you how hyped I am. They're doing a series on BioShock. We about to go into Rapture. We about to see Andrew Ryan. We about to see Atlas, son. I know I sound excited because I am. I'm dumb excited for that. This game is like one of my all-time favorite games. But on that note, thanks for stopping by. Make sure you drop a like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Check me out on my Instagram. Check me out on TikTok. Till next time, later.